we are often asked, what is the difference between naturopathy and nutrition? What can I do as a naturopath? What can I do as a nutritionist? Can I be a nutritionist and a naturopath at the same time? Can I study concurrently? So this is a really good opportunity to sort of talk to current students that are in the qualifications about what to expect, as well as incoming students, because it's very relevant to them as well. Kathleen is a naturopath. So, so in fact, as a practitioner and a naturopath herself, she has that sort of insight on a real deep understanding of naturopathy and its philosophy and what sort of makes it a bit different to nutritional medicine. So, and if you go into comp med, you'll learn that as well, just saying. I'm 2 subjects off completing my comp med degree. Yay! So, so I have the experience of being an Endeavour student as well. So it's quite a full circle that we have here. Leading into this, we did send out some sort of marketing about the sorts of things. So Kathleen, why would you like to give us a, we might start with what is naturopathy?
Okay, naturopathy encompasses a lot of natural therapies to support a person's health. It's a whole medical system, and the core principles of healing through, literally healing through natural medicine or natural ways of healing, as opposed to specifically using a drug-orientated way of bringing wellness.
Yep.
Okay. They use nutrition, they use counselling, they use herbal medicine, they use, in some areas, homeopathy, in some areas they'll use manual therapies, they can use hydrotherapy. They can use multiple ways of trying to bring a person to a level of health.
Great. And so the key point there, and this is what I took from my comp med degree, is that naturopathy is a whole medical system. It's based in the philosophy. It has guiding principles in the way that you will treat your patients, and it's the understanding of treating from the inside out, and cure not the symptoms, don't treat the symptoms, but source what's causing the symptoms. So it has a really strong longevity of philosophy that sits behind it. So when we talk about clinical nutrition and we talk about nutritional medicine, we're really looking at more of a modality as opposed to a whole medical system. And with nutrition and clinical nutrition, the sorts of work that we would be doing in that would be, over to you.
Oh, in the clinical nutrition, looking at using food to be your medicine, and also you may use supplements in regard to enhancing a person's well-being. You still may look at lifestyle areas like that, because you are looking from a holistic perspective as well.
That's right. Thank you. Any questions coming through yet, Greg? You'll just interrupt us as we go.
I'll sing out. We've got a few more people that responded. We've got a mix of some folks interested in one particular qual, a few folks saying they're interested in a bit of both and not sure. So I think we're answering the questions already.
Beautiful, beautiful. So one of the questions that we do get asked quite a bit, and I'm sure that there's a question sitting out there in the room, is what is the difference? So how are, say, nutritionists and dietitians different? Because the nutrition degree that we do here, the Bachelor of Health Science, is actually nutritional and dietetic medicine. And so, Kathleen, in terms of, we do have an FAQ that's available on our website as well, in terms of what is clinical nutrition, but just sort of at a high level, nutrition and dietetics.
Okay, so dietetics, they actually train to give dietary advice, and that's their whole encompassing modality is literally dietary advice, as opposed to our nutritional and dietetic medicine, which can encompass also lifestyle changes and things like that. Dietitians will usually work within a hospital system or some area and build a diet structure for a specific diet orientated disease. So they will build that. Where a nutritionist, our nutrition and dietetic medicine is using diet, yes, but also may use supplementation and other areas to benefit health.
Cool. In terms of study, which is another question that we often get asked, so our degree is a 3-year qualification, and you'll go into clinical practice, you'll go in as a nutritionist, you'll have a holistic view of your patients, you'll be using food as medicine. Dietetics will usually be a 4-year qualification, including a hospital placement within that qualification. So just to be really clear out there, this is not a dietitian's qualification, although, to be fair, we do use a lot of, so nutritionists and dietitians actually cross over in terms of some of the support work that we do. For example, go to a dietitian, they'll ask you to do a food diary. Go to a nutritionist, we'll ask you to do a food diary. Yeah. Body mass index is important to dietitians and what they do. In nutrition, you'll also learn about the body mass index. Yeah. So there are certain ways that we use in terms of clinical exam and the way that we look at our patients that are used in both dietetics and in nutrition. So it's important to know that it's not there's not sort of a real polar opposite in terms of, in nutrition, you'll never ask somebody to tell you what they've done. It's what you do with the information when you receive the information. That's a little bit different in terms of treating your patients and looking at everybody as an individual and everybody's health needs as individual to their cases, including lifestyle, which is really fundamentally important. I went to a nutritionist here at Endeavour when I first started, and their advice to me was protein shakes, based on the fact that I have such a hectic lifestyle that suggesting I cook myself a steak every night wasn't going to make my protein. I wasn't going to get my protein from that because there was no way with my lifestyle that I was going to get there. So advice from them was, you need protein, and the best way for you to do it is to actually have a protein shake every day. Otherwise, it's just not going to be achievable. So you do, but again, you do learn, as the dietitians do, about finding success for your patients and what's going to make it work for them in terms of how you treat them.
I think one of the things too that should be pointed out here is that both are based on scientific background and research. So when you do come to study nutrition and dietetic medicine here at Endeavour, there is a lot of that scientific base to what you are learning and how you then incorporate that into your regime for a client.
Yep, and into your practice.
Yes.
We've had the prize to Matthew, who's got the first question. We had a couple of questions coming now, but Matthew, you were first, so you get the prize, mate. Matthew's asked, everything in the nutritional medicine course also covered in the naturopathy course in terms of the content, or is there things that are unique to the nutritional medicine course compared to naturopathy?
There are some differences in the subjects, not a huge number. I think within the nutritional dietetic medicine, there are about 4 subjects that are not undertaken within the naturopathy course. But within the naturopathy course there is one self-chosen elective, and you could choose to do one of those 4 subjects within that. But then of course, if you wanted to, you could, as standalone study, you could do the other subjects as well.
I think the key, Matthew, to your question, because I do get asked this, is, well, would I just do naturopathy because I'm going to get nutrition experience in that anyway? So the best advice that we can give you is that while there might not be some subject differences, these are clinical degrees. So you will practice in a Well Nation clinic and be assessed on that practice and see patients. So if you are in nutrition and dietetic medicine, your clinical experience will be treating as a nutritionist. That is what you will be doing. So when you go into naturopathy, you'll be treating as a naturopath, using the naturopathic philosophies, using the herbs, the homeopathy, the musculoskeletal hydrotherapy, whatever it is that you choose to incorporate into your naturopathy to help bring your patient to wellness. So there's a few subjects different, as Kathleen said, but the critical point is your clinical practice. If you're in nutrition, your clinical practice will be as a nutritionist, not as a naturopath. Therefore, if you do naturopathy and you graduate, you will be a naturopath, you won't be a nutritionist. If you do nutrition and graduate, you'll be a nutritionist. Recommendation to our students, and this is really good having Kathleen here, is if you want both, start in nutrition. It's a 3-year degree, full-time, 6 years part-time. You'll do all of the nutrition subjects. You'll do your clinics as a nutritionist. You'll graduate and be a nutritionist. You then come back and do 2 more years, and that will be picking up your naturopathy subjects that are specialist to them. So you get credits for your nutrition subjects, and then you need to do your naturopathy clinics. So you still need to do your clinical practice again, because clinical practice is about making sure that you're using all of the right philosophies and underpinning knowledge that you've gained in that particular modality. So hopefully that has helped answer some of the questions. So that is the key difference.
And within those 2 years, of course, going from nutrition to naturopathy, you will do all the herbal medicine that is a major part of naturopathy.
Yeah, that's right. So you'll get credits for your nutrition subjects, and then you'll have your herbs and your electives and your clinical practice left. So individually, you've got 4 years and 3 years. And then combined, so if you do nutrition first and then graduate, come back, you've got 5 years to do to complete them both.
Great. Matthew says, thank you very much, very helpful. Marina has a question too. Are the courses accredited? What's the difference between them?
The courses accredited, what is the difference between them? Okay, so yes, so we are a private college. We are accredited by TEXA, which is the Tertiary Higher Education Standards Authority. So just like university, TEXA come and look at all our degrees, and look at all our campuses, and then they give us the legislation to be able to provide bachelor degrees, which is what we do. Undergraduate degrees, we also have postgraduate study here, so we're also able to do honours programs just like a university would do. So they're absolutely accredited. In terms of association recognition, so it's really important to know with natural health in Australia right now, acupuncture and osteopathy are our two sort of registered professions where you have your own medical board for those particular modalities. Nutrition and naturopathy are not, but they do have very strong tie-ins with associations. So your associations are effectively your registration bodies. So once you graduate, you go to an association, you say to the association, I'm an Endeavour graduate, here's my parchment. They say, fantastic, become a member of us. We will help you with insurances. We will help you get private health fund recognition. We'll give you that high caps number. So while as a nutritionist or a naturopath, you won't be able to claim Medicare, so you won't be like a GP where they can swipe the card and pay nothing. You will need to use the private health insurance route so that your fees are cheaper for your, there's a gap for your clients. So these degrees are absolutely recognised by our associations, and nutrition has got some funding. For example, members of Medibank Private, Australian Unities, NIB, HSC, they actually recognise nutrition as a swipey high cap. So as opposed to saying, okay, you know what, I think I'd like to go to a nutritionist, maybe not a dietitian. Those types of private health funds actually recognise the difference between both, and will give you a provider. So absolutely accredited, absolutely recognised for association membership. The associations have seen Endeavour's work for, we've been around for over 75 years, and they're really supportive of what we do. Especially in nutrition, there is a real pushback currently for students that do all of their study online, especially in practitioner qualifications, which is why Endeavour, besides the fact that we have these fantastic clinics and opportunities for our students to see real patients, we're really aware of how much that balance between online and on campus, so that our students are able to head off to associations and get that membership.
The associations, as you've said, we call professional bodies. They actually set standards too for the educational content of the degrees that we deliver. So we must meet that, and within that, they also state the amount of online that we may or may not be able to do, and any specific subjects that they like to see that are done face-to-face and obviously clinic.
I think you've anticipated beautifully Marina's question, who is just who's living interstate and wondering how often is it possible to study online. Maybe you could say a little bit about the way the online timetabling works and those sorts of options, so how you recognise which subjects might be offered online. Yeah,
so when you look at our course structures, you do need to do, you'll see on there, there'll be subjects that have indicated online and subjects on there that have indicated that you have to do those on campus, which would particularly be our clinical subjects. So a lot of the practical, the clinical exams, those sorts of things, they are required to be on campus. So depending on how interstate you're living, usually you can start, say, a nutrition degree online. There's, I think the first 7 out of 10 subjects are available online. We do a summer school, which is intensive learning, where some other ones like psychology and counselling theory, which has to do on campus, can be sort of done in intensive. However, unless you can get to a campus, so we've got 6 campuses nationally, it's sort of when you get to that on-campus delivery stage that you need to be able to be on campus for those subjects. So it's usually about the about 10 subjects into your degree where that on-campus push starts to happen. So in knowing that, what we do at Endeavour is we release our timetable. We try to release our timetable for it. We do release it for a calendar year. We try to get it out in October for our students. What that means for a lot of our students is that they can see in October of 17 where they need to be in February and July of 18. So that gives some students up to 10 months to really plan what they do with their work, to try and get an RDO. There's a lot of teachers out there right now, I've discovered, that can take annual leave or long service leave, but they can take it as one day across 14 weeks. So they sit here now and go, okay, so in October next year or August next year, I'm going to need to have every Thursday off, and they can apply for that long service leave well in advance so that they can, make those plans. We have some students who will travel in and just stay at the Y for the 14 weeks. They'll come in on a Monday, do their classes, stay at a friend's house on the Tuesday, Monday night, do their classes on the Tuesday and come home. So we try to timetable in that way. A full-time timetable should see you on campus no more than 3 days a week. Part-time timetable, we can generally get you in for one. Some students will try and balance an online subject with an on-campus subject, depending on what their travel distance is. So that's, at this stage, the best that sort of we can do with in terms of the delivery and our on-campus requirements. So we are on every capital city, including the Gold Coast. We're not in Darwin and we're not in Tasmania.
Marina says, thank you. Who lives in Hobart, so Melbourne's your local campus. Marina.
But you can do Comp Med. That's fully online.
Yeah.
Not a practitioner qualification, and that's the key. So Comp Med isn't a practitioner qualification, but it is a really fantastic. It's almost half a health science load, and there's a lot of subjects in Comp Med that actually feed into our other practitioner degrees. And so, if for some students starting in something like Comp Med and just chipping away online until 3 years time, you never know, you might be in Melbourne or Adelaide or Brisbane, and of course, the fact is that we are, unlike universities, we have these 6 campuses. If you do start in Brisbane or you do start in Melbourne and your job takes you to Sydney, you can take your degree with you and just transfer to the Sydney campus and continue on with your study.
I think that's important to let people know that wherever you are, in whatever state, we are running the same subjects at the same time. So you could literally start one semester in Sydney, you could actually go in halfway.
Semester 2 in Perth.
Semester 2 in Perth. Let's travel Australia.
I mean, wait, there's a lot of people on the call. Hi, Perth. I was just about to say, let's go to Perth. Perth's beautiful. I love Perth.
Amanda's got a couple of... Amanda's got a couple of practical questions. She's asking, do you provide fast tracking or summer school to complete the degrees faster? And is there a mid-year intake?
Yeah, so we do have a summer school, but it's not to make you complete faster. You could if you had credits, I suppose. Summer school is really fascinating. A lot of summer school is clinics, so you'll find summer schools will be towards the sort of mid and end of your degree. We do some theory subjects in summer school, but it really is often for the subjects that are a bit later on. Summer school is your 15 weeks of learning condensed into like 1 week. The same assignments are due, the same assessments are due. So I always recommend to students try not to take any more than 1, max 2 subjects during a summer school, because it is an absolute full-on workload. A lot of our students that do final clinics in a summer school will try and do as much sort of online before then, because they are 100% focused on that. So that's how the summer school opens. Yes, we do a semester 1 and a semester 2. So our next intake is semester 2, starts on the 24th of July. That's our next big on-campus intake. Semester 1s generally start about the 2nd week of February. And then we have 12 monthly online intakes. So for specific subjects. So for every degree, there's a subject, it's called History of Healing. In acupuncture, it's called the History and Philosophy of Natural Medicine. that subject is only taught online, history of healing. We don't teach that on campus at all. It makes sure that every student that studies with us does at least one online subject. They learn how to use the learning management system, how to use the virtual libraries, how to upload their assignments. They learn a lot about the history and philosophy of natural medicine, of Galen and Plato, and all of that sort of stuff, and how it came to be, shamanism. It's really, really fascinating, and you get to touch on all of the different modalities as well. So what's naturopathy, what's nutrition, what's acupuncture, how is it formed? So that is offered 12 months a year, as well as other subjects. So in fact, you could pretty much start studying with Endeavour at the start of any month, and then your two big semester intakes would be a February and a July, traditionally like a university.
Great, thank you. We've got a flurry of questions coming in. There's so many coming through. It's awesome.
I love that.
Amanda says, thank you for that. We might go back. Morgan's been waiting a little while. Morgan is completing a nutrition diploma through a school in Canada at the moment before returning back to Australia later on. Can that diploma count towards prior learning for either naturopathy or the nutritional dietetic medicine degrees?
As long as I'm able to, within my area of educational pathways, as long as I'm able to see some of the subject outlines so that I can map his learning against the learning that is offered here at Endeavour, then yes, absolutely.
What a perfect question. You've got the National Pathways Manager here. Yay. Yeah. Yes, we can pathway you. Pathways are awesome. And as Kathleen said, it's just about matching up your learnings. We do lots of pathway.
There's a very happy thank you from Morgan. Get lots of paperwork. Every record you can get, the more paper you can get, the easier it is for us to tick boxes. So
yes, beautiful.
Sharon's got a question. She's asking, for if you do the nutritional medicine dietetic qual, are you classified as a dietitian? She's told that one or two bodies don't accept you unless you've been to a university.
Yes, so no, you're not a dietitian. If you do nutrition and dietetic medicine, you're a clinical nutritionist. If you want to be a dietitian, then you need to go and do a dietetics degree and do that 4 year, because it's a 4-year degree with the hospital placement, which is part of the rollout of the diet, part of the curriculum requirements to become a dietitian. So you wouldn't be following this qualification. You're not seeking membership with Dietetics Australia, the association. You'll be seeking membership with the Nutritional Society, I think it's the Australian Nutrition Society, or ATMS, the Australian Traditional Medicine Society, or ANTAR, the Australian Natural Therapists Association, or Complementary Medicines Australia. So it's fascinating. There are so many, it's really when you're sort of in complementary medicine, you realise just how many associations and support networks there are out there for practitioners and, general public. Because as Kathleen says, these associations have, not only do they say how qualified somebody has to be, but they have a code of conduct that our practitioners should be adhering to. So, if you go to see a practitioner and they are not a member of an association, I would question them why. Because associations really hold all practitioners to account. You have to abide by their code of practice, or you can't be a member there. So association membership is really, really important. But yeah, absolutely, member of this association, but you wouldn't get accepted into Dietetics Australia because you haven't done a dietetics degree.
I think too, a point that should be made there is that Endeavour is a college, but it is a higher education college, just the same as a university. We all fall under TEXA, and we all are higher education. So there is no actual real differentiation between a university and Endeavour.
Great. Kate's got a question. Could you please tell what the extra 4 subjects are that are covered in nutrition, which are not in the naturopathic course? I've got it here. I could read them if you like.
Oh, look at you.
Yes.
Something Greg prepared earlier.
I prepared earlier for this one. Well, because I saw Kate ask the question a few minutes ago, so I got ready just in case you couldn't remember the codes.
I have been here.
Well, let's see how Greg goes. Go on, Greg. Give it to us.
Okay, so if you look on the naturopathy course brochure, there's a section at the very bottom when it lists all the subjects. The very bottom of that has the free electives, which students in naturopathy choose one of 2 elective streams, and they have free electives on top of that. And it's the 4 nutritional subjects in the free elective section. So there's one on community public health nutrition, one on Indigenous plant medicine. Sorry, no, take that back. Not Indigenous plant medicine. That's a herbal one. Energetics of food, I should have said. Sports nutrition and weight management in health and disease.
Yeah.
So that's those are the ones. See, I got it wrong. Lucky you're here to check for me.
But remembering that one of those within naturopathy can be chosen as an elective.
Yeah.
Kate's query is, do you have a certain syllabus in relation to nutrition, or do you look at all different diets? Do you follow government recommendations? She has a strong belief in plant-based foods and wondering how they get supported.
So yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, Kathleen, you know the curriculum inside out. First thing I would suggest is, we'll say to everybody is we Endeavour, we're really transparent with a lot of our information. So if you really want to know what you're going to expect, jump onto our website and check out a subject outline, because we publish all our subject outlines. Anyone can view them. They're all on our website. So you might choose to open up our structure and say, NNDF 121, a subject I recently did as an elective, which is something to do with nutrition. Foundation of human nutrition. If you went to our website and you looked up that subject outline, it would tell you exactly what assessments are involved in there, what your learning outcomes will be, so what you're going to learn about, and then it also breaks down what each of the weeks look like in a subject outline. So it gives you a good idea of the types of things you're going to be learning. Example for that subject, it was a double weighted subject, so effectively 6 hours. I did it online. Things that I learned about were the guidelines, the Australian dietary guidelines. I learned about macro and micronutrients and how they work in the body. I then learned about every individual macro and micronutrient, from water, fibre, soluble fibre, vitamin A, vitamin K, the B vitamin. Somebody said riboflavin to me the other day, and I was like, oh my God, isn't that like B6 or B12? So you'll learn about how the B vitamins work as well. So, but that is just one subject. Another subject I did in nutrition as part of CompMed was Foundation NMDS 111, which is the sociology of food and nutrition, and that subject taught me about different dietaries, so like the Mediterranean diet, and why people in certain countries eat a certain way and what that does to them, and then food choices, why we make the choices we make. Do we eat fast food because it's convenient, or is it really because we place value on work more than we do on feeding a nutritious meal to our family? So there's a really lovely sort of sociology feel to that as well. So there'll be other subjects in there where you will actually address each of the, fad, paleo, any of the other sorts of diet trends that are happening and how that then impacts and what that means. You'll learn about, not asking you to choose either one, but just understanding as a practitioner that people do. So
medicinal food science.
Medicinal food science.
So you're looking at actually the medicinal properties of food as well.
Yeah. So there's some really great stuff in there. A client comes to see you, and like the exams will say, a client comes to see you and she is a vegan. What nutrients do you believe she will be deficient in? Or she's pregnant and a vegan, therefore what nutrients would you need to consider prescribing? Because, and then you have to go, okay, well, vegans may or may not be getting enough protein, therefore we might need to supplement this, So it's that type of thing. No judgment. Just simple reality of it. People choose different foods for different reasons.
Or they may be able to use more of a specific food.
Yeah.
So they're the types of things you learn. It is not absolutely needing supplementation, but and you learn the fact that a lot of foods these days, obviously because of the structure of the soil, because of things that are used, there can be toxic applications, all those types. You learn the processing of foods. All that is covered within the nutritional dietetic medicine curriculum.
Great. Thank you, as Kate says, thank you very much, with an excited exclamation mark. Joseph's got a couple of practical questions. First one is thinking about if you did both qualifications, could you study in reverse order and do naturopathy first and then nutrition, or would that take longer than doing it the other way around?
One of the major issues with doing something like that is that we, as a college, and one of our requirements under TEXA is that a student covering a degree qualification must complete a third of that qualification. So it obviously means that it's somebody coming from naturopathy into nutrition has to cover a third again. So that would mean that they would literally be covering subjects that they've already studied within naturopathy. That's hence our suggestion to do nutrition first and then naturopathy. And literally you going from nutrition to naturopathy, you're, as has already been stated by Katrina, you're just doing the clinical requirements plus the herbal medicine requirements and flower
electives.
remedies, and some electives. Hopefully you would undertake homeopathy because it is a favourite of mine, but you also have the choice to do manual therapies, meaning massage and things like that within the electives.
Yeah. So I always explain it to my students as saying you can fit a smaller degree into a bigger degree. Effectively. So you're putting 3 years into 4 years, you can't put 4 years back into 3. There will be subjects that you have to repeat because we can't, unfortunately, legislation says we're not able to give you a degree without having done a certain percentage of study. So small degree into big degree.
Yep. Okay. And just the other question, he's been told by Anta that the theory components for the Bachelor of Health Science Naturopathy could be taught online using Blackboard, which would still be considered as direct in-class learning. Do we support that? And he's saying, so not including clinical practice, but the teaching of the non-clinical subjects.
Yeah, so the non-clinical subjects in our naturopathy degree, many of which are already taught online. So we do all of the first year except all of the biosciences, naturopathic philosophies in psychology and counselling theory. We do face-to-face. However, the biosciences, absolutely, the chemistries, there's sort of plenty in there. The one that, again, I'm in Comp Med, which is entirely online. So I did the, I think medicinal food sciences is online, the foundations of human nutrition is online, the sociology subjects are online. So there is actually quite a large volume there that is available online. But when you get down to those practical subjects, so for example, we're not doing herbal botany and manufacturing online because it is herbal botany and manufacturing. We need you in the classroom
for safety. It's
for safety. And, you know, you will be taking that type of knowledge into clinical practice. So we do need to have you there to make sure that, you know, everything's right and we're supporting you the best way we can.
And there is something truly special about the smell of herbs, the touch, all those things that you're not going to get online.
Be the naturopath here.
I know.
We love their herbs.
This is the academics working down on level 2, get the herbal hot chocolates after you guys finish making them. So I was disappointed. Yeah.
I remember that year.
The turmeric
the students did like lozenges or something.
Oh yes.
And I was the one that got to test the. I was like, oh, I get to tell you. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. That was
Melissa's interested in studying naturopathy and wondering, can she work in the industry while studying, or do you need to be qualified first?
No, you'd need to be qualified first to be treating your patients, your clients. Can you work at a chemist? Sure, because you know in retail, absolutely. But clinical practice, giving practitioner advice, you really do need to be a graduate and a member of the association. They will help you with indemnity insurances and all of that sort of stuff. You don't want to be out there practicing without a qualification. It will just open you up to so many potential problems.
Legal issues.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely. But, you know, there are some students that have gone to, you know, Red Spot Health or something. They're working in retail and, you know, they're learning about it. There's bits and pieces that you can learn along the way for, you know, pre-existing things.
Yeah.
The professional bodies also allow students to become members as a student member, and that's really helpful for you as well, because you have access to the information that they have on their websites, which is really supportive.
Yeah, I think a lot of our students get jobs in the industry while they're studying, but they're in areas like chemists, like Kat mentioned, or health food shops, or working for product manufacturers, or places where they're actually employed when they're not employed as a practitioner, but they've got someone who's got some expertise and knowledge in that area, but they're working in roles that lead up to when they become a practitioner.
Yes. And we have, just like a university, we have a careers department. A gentleman that runs it, his name's Riley Wallace. He's based here in Brisbane, but he runs it for everywhere. And he works with our students right from the time they enroll through to they graduate. And he really does help them with things like goal setting and where they want to be in future planning and their resumes and online, how to start marketing yourself online. Plenty of organisations come to us and ask if we will promote positions that they have or rooms they have available for naturopaths, nutritionists, acupuncturists, etc. And we have that up on our website as well, so a little jobs board for them, for our students. So you know, employers do seek Endeavour graduates, and some students that, you know, like the chemist warehouses or the health food stores, like always going to call it Red Spot or something, but there's health food stores always looking for students to sort of work in that retail sector while they're studying. So we pop those up on our website as well.
Yeah, thank you. You just ticked off Amanda's question about 3 seconds after she finished typing it. That was psychically wonderful of you. Thank you. Matthew's got a question. Is it possible to do a combined degree where you can do both at the same time and come out with both?
No. One and then the other. We don't. A lot of it, again, is to do with the clinical practice in terms of you need to be doing everything focused as a nutritionist and then everything focused as a naturopath. And so it wouldn't save you any time because we wouldn't be able to increase your workload, as in it's a 24 hours a week study load, so 20 something credit points, 2, 4, 6, 12, can't get it off my head. But it's a 24, and that is contact hours full time. So that is simply us teaching you. That does not factor in for you anything else that you need to do in terms of prepping, assignments, recommended readings, getting ready for your next class. So that is a full-time study load. So I would say to my incoming students, you actually need to factor aside at least 36 to 40 hours if you were going to do a full-time study load. So in order to do, if you were to do everything all at the same time, it would just far surpass that. But the reassurance is you would do one. And knowing that when you do medicinal food science and nutrition, you won't need to do it again in naturopathy because you'll already have that foundation knowledge and it would just be a clear credit across. And when you do foundations of human nutrition or sociology of food nutrition in the nutrition degree, you won't need to do that again in naturopathy because that would just be a credit across. Either way, it's still going to take you 5 years to complete full time.
And maybe we should discuss the difference between full-time, part-time and the total time allowed for I talk full-time, knowing full well that not everybody's going to do full-time. So part-time study in nutrition would be 6 years. You have 7.5 years to complete the entire qualification. And then for naturopathy, it's 4 years, 8 years part-time, 10 years to complete the whole kit and caboodle. You can do a variation of full-time, part-time to full-time. So we don't lock you in for life, as in, oh, you're in part-time, you have to stay in it forever. You can increase your study load or reduce your study load. But your completion time is really what is important, especially in health science degrees, because what you're doing is when you come into a degree, you're starting at the absolute foundation. So you're going to go, this is a cell. This is how a cell divides. This is how mitosis works. This is what a skeleton is. And then by the time you're in your second year, you're going to be talking about this is how the body breaks down all these nutrients and how it all works. And then by the time you're in your third year, you'll have enough of that knowledge to be able to effectively work with your own clients. So if you leave your study for too long, then all of that base knowledge can be lost if you don't use it. So all these degrees do have a completion time. So while you can pace yourself through it, you do need to have naturopathy finished within 10 and nutrition finished within 7.5 to 8.
Great. Matthew just clarified his thinking in terms of the extra study to do both quals. And I think what you're asking, Matthew, is do you, at the end, if you did both, do you come out with a bit of paper that says it's a double degree in naturopathy and nutritional medicine and dietetics?
You'll graduate with a Bachelor of Health Science, Nutritional and Dietetic Medicine first. You come to your graduation ceremony, we'll clap hands, and then you'll be studying, you'll already be enrolled in naturopathy, and then you'll have a second degree, and that second degree will say Bachelor of Health Science, Naturopathy. So on your wall, you'll have 2 parchments. One will be a Bachelor of Health Science, Nutritional and Dietetic Medicine, and the second will be a Bachelor of Health Science in Naturopathy, brackets naturopathy. So you'll have both qualifications as individual qualifications, which is kind of nice.
Mm-hmm. Looks good on the wall.
Looks great on the wall. Nobody needs to know how much credit was put across. I spend my life studying. 20 years it took me.
So Kate's just asking about those nutritional subjects which are available as free choice electives in naturopathy, and wondering is she able to take 2 of them rather than just one of them, because there's 2 that she's very keen on.
Okay, there is one that is an actual requirement within the structure of the course, but you are able to take other subjects as self-interest, literally, courses.
Yeah, so you have to be really, really careful. So when a degree is built, there is X number of credit points that you have to complete. 48, I think it is in naturopathy. So, or 72, because it's a 4-year one. So 72 credit points. Yep. So of those 72 credit points, 1 free elective will make up that balance. So all of your other subjects add up, and then you get to 70, and you get 1 of those free choices which will be worth 2 credit points, and that is what will finalise your actual degree, your piece of parchment. If there is other subjects outside of your award that you are interested in studying, you can pay for that subject and study it as general interest because you're interested in it, but it won't be put into your award. So as in it won't be on your parchment, it won't be any extra. So we can't legally add any more to your course structure than already exists. So the course structure is you have all of these core subjects that you have to complete, one free choice elective that you have to complete, and that is the piece of parchment and the testament and the transcript that you would receive upon graduation. If there are any other subjects in any other degree that we offer, that is available. We have what's called a non-award study. A lot of universities do this, and it simply means that you study a subject outside of your degree. You do it for your own general interest because you really enjoy it. They're not, the ones that we teach aren't clinical or practical in application, but they would absolutely, if you are interested in sports nutrition, you could just do that as something that's of interest to you. And then as a nutritionist and a practitioner, you could use that knowledge. But it wouldn't show up on your transcript.
It would as a non-award.
Yeah, but it wouldn't as part of your degree.
Not
you
as
wouldn't
part
complete
of the degree.
it. Yeah,
that's right.
Can't show up as part of the degree. We can give you a piece of paper that says you've completed it as a non-award subject, but it wouldn't form part of the 72 credit points in your degree.
Kate says, thank you very, very much. Flexibility was fantastic. But thank you, Kate. I'm going to steal this next question and answer it all myself because this is my baby. Sharon's asking, what kind of work do you do with the Bachelor of Complementary Medicine qualification?
Yay! Go for it, Greg.
Yay! I can talk about this because I look after the Comp Med qual, Sharon. Interesting stats for you. For every student who graduates from a practitioner course and goes off to clinical practice, there's 4 other people working in support of them in the product manufacturing and distribution and management and legislation and media and all that kind of stuff. So for every practitioner out there, there's 4 other people who have to work and do all the stuff around that to support that, and it's all that stuff around that the Bachelor of Comp Med is focused towards. So that qualification is about you understanding broadly all the different disciplines of complementary medicine. So you learn what is naturopathy, what is nutritional medicine, what is Chinese medicine, all the different variations of those sorts of things, and then having a really strong understanding of sociology, health behaviors, the way that people interact with the health, which is moving you towards your final years of that course with a focus on kind of public health and those kind of level interventions. So in a practitioner course, you're thinking very much about, I've got this one client sitting in front of me and what can I do to help that person? Where with a complementary medicine, we're thinking about how do I understand what's happening in the health landscape in Australia and what's the place that I can put myself in the context of that health landscape to help people. So it's really about you having broad understanding of complementary medicine, but with a perspective of not having one person sitting in front of you, but saying, well, I might have a team of people who work for me, or I may set up a chain of clinics, or I may want to have a health retreat, or I manage a health food shop, or I might want to have an idea for a new product and I want to set up a distribution center for importing and blah, blah, blah. So it's a massive range of stuff. It's really designed to say, well, out of all the different things which non-practitioners in complementary medicine are doing, how can we make a qualification that helps as many of those as possible? And that's what CompMed is all about. So it's a long list. If you've got an imagination for something, you can probably find that the CompMed degree will help you towards it. But if you've got specific questions, get in touch with us afterwards. We can take through what your aspirations is and see if it will help you.
I'd like to add to that. With naturopathy and the nutrition and dietetic medicine, not everybody chooses to go into clinical practice. And a lot of those may cover the same areas that you've just covered in CompMed, because people don't always want to be that clinician on the other side of a desk talking to people all the time. I'll ask Kat, we have our booklets that show where the students, some of our alumni have gone and what they're doing. Are they available on the website?
Should be.
Should be?
Yep, yeah, should be.
We have some wonderful little booklets that actually have information put together by our graduates, and they show different areas that they've gone into after graduation.
Quite a few have gone into manufacturing, into media, into community health, places like that. As Greg said, Heart Foundation and working with diverse communities, and off overseas and places along those lines. So
we have some people in particular that
Lola Berry is one of our biggest. There's one of our graduates, she made lavender pillows, and like she sells them online, and she makes them mops up. Like people just love them. So she's got the pillows, but they're scented with the beautiful herbs and the lavender, and they just help people sleep. It's just quite phenomenal, the work that she's done with these lavender pillows. In our bookshop here in Brisbane, we have our student own range, and a lot of our current students who are making tinctures and rescue remedy type things and teas, they're stocking them in our bookshop here for sale, to getting a little taste of sale to the general public. So we try to sort of get that type of opportunity out for our students as well, which is one of the benefits of having a bookstore. How are we going, Greg? I'm looking at the time. We've got like 14 minutes left.
We've got heaps more questions. Okay, we've got 2 minutes per question. We can make it. Okay. Marina's saying, are you able to require tests or request tests for patients to use when you're coming up with their natural treatments?
Absolutely. As both nutritional medicine and naturopathy, you are able, as a practitioner, to do that. Yes.
And Kate's asking about the help after graduation. We've already mentioned Raleigh's office and the career services, but a specific sub-question is, when you're starting your own business, is there any other qualification that you'd require?
No, in our degree we have establish and manage a practice. So it's actually a business unit that sits within all of our practitioner degrees. So helps you write the business plan. I think it's one of the assessments. And
yes, it is, looking at finances, also looking at the associations and other areas, the requirements, the ethical code of conduct and different things like that. Yes.
So that's all in there to help you. So as well. So it's just embedded in the degree as it is. So Raleigh does alumni services. You wouldn't need to go out and get another qualification, although there are some great qualifications out there. And it's a health science degree. But the other thing is that this is a university degree. So what you've studied here, if you choose to go on and study elsewhere, you could take your credits and apply for credits at another institution to go on and do other study if you so wanted to. Anything that sort of matched, as long as it was a match in learning outcomes.
Great. Sharon's following up question, is it worth doing comp med and then nutrition if you want to be a part-time student?
Oh, no, you could be a part-time student in nutrition. If nutrition is where you want to go and what you want to be, you could do part-time easy. It would be 12 hours a week of content delivery. If you're studying online, again, 12-hour a week is the content. It really depends on what you put into it. For example, history of healing, I didn't need 6 hours a week to do history of healing, but I needed 12 to do chemistry because chemistry was just a lot harder for me. And so while we say it's 6 hours of content, it probably was 6 hours of content, but it took me at least 12 to really understand every week what it was that was trying to be taught. And I chose chemistry as an elective because I'm like weird. I actually chose that as an elective because I talk to first year students who have to do it. So I wanted to have a real understanding of what our first year students go through. Human bio was the same for me. It's not a natural place. I did it online. It's a 6 hour subject. I probably needed 10 to 15 hours a week to really understand the concepts that I was being taught. But I managed to get 6s and 5s for both those subjects, so which is distinctions and credits. So online learning is really, really well supported at Endeavour. But that would be the same workload as if you were in comp med. So if practitioner is where you want to be, then you could start in that. If you though get to a point where you go, oh, I don't want to touch people, look at people, in fact this isn't for me, take your credits back into comp med. So we can credit you either way.
Sarah has got a partial advanced diploma in naturopathy at another college, and she's wondering, how does she find out how much RPL would get offered for that?
Well, we could look at the abacus. We've only got 10 minutes. I don't have it. Can you overtake the screen there, Greg, and pull the abacus up?
I can't, no.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to try.
It's down the bottom.
That's down the bottom, apparently.
Right down. Articulation abacus.
Ta-da! Okay. So basically, on our website, we have what's called an articulation abacus. You can map your pathway. So if the, do we know what the college is? Is it ACNT or AIAS or something?
It hasn't said, no.
Open schools?
Hasn't said.
Okay, so let's say that it's ACNT.
Yeah.
As a thing, and you've got a partially completed advanced diploma in naturopathy. What you would do is untick this button here, as you can see it on my screen, and then you just tick all the subjects that you've completed. Well, oh, there we go, show subjects.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, so you can tick all of the ones that you've done here, and then you ask it to calculate. Now, what I'm going to do quickly is say, if you had completed it and you want to go into naturopathy with us, you can calculate your pathway here. It's doing its little thing. we're probably using up all the bandwidth in Brisbane right now. But the articulation abacus is a really good point to you. So it's saying if you have an advanced diploma from ACNT in naturopathy and you're looking to come into the health science naturopathy degree, we'll give you 53% credit.
I can actually say that it'll probably be slightly more than that, because the abacus picks up, doesn't pick up all the electives.
Yeah,
and
so you
things
pick
like
up a
that.
couple of electives.
Yeah.
So this is a really good first view. Obviously though, so this is a good first view. So it says, okay, so these are the subjects that are similar across both the quals that we would be happy. The key for, I love talking about pathways when I have Kathleen in the room, because I talk as though it's my baby. And Kathleen could well talk to this, but I know we're short on time. But the key to pathwaying for us is that we get you into the degree at the right point. We don't give you block credit. We don't give you credits for subjects we don't think you have the knowledge in. Otherwise, you will not be successful. So credits for us are, do you have the knowledge in that subject that you will be successful moving on to the next subject in your progression, and finding that right point for you to start your study with us so that you can go into clinic and you can be confident treating your patients and that you can graduate out as a practitioner. So if it was from ACNT, these are the level of credits. These would be some of the subjects you would have remaining. You simply apply to study with Endeavour. My team, the admissions team, will do an interview with you. So we just talk to you about your study needs, how you see yourself studying online on campus, and just make sure that we can fit those needs. If you rang in and said, I live in Darwin, we would have to say to you, unless it's comp med, we can't help you. So we just make sure that we can actually fit your needs as a student and a learner. We then gather the information, send it through to Kathleen and her team. Kathleen and her team will do a pathway, so they will actually process that and then send back to you the outline of what credits you would be eligible for. They will call you if they have any clarifying questions. Look, I think I can get your credit in this, but do you have any experience? Those types of things. You then look at that and say, that's fantastic, I'm happy to accept it, we can enrol you, and away you go. There's no charge.
A great point of this, it is totally individual. It's not set up as just as Kat had already said, block credit. This specifically relates to your learning.
And Steph and Carly have both got questions. I think this kind of answers, I'll just point out for you guys. So Steph's asking if she did complementary medicine first and then moved to naturopathy, so you can use the abacus for those internal pathways as well and see what the difference is between those quals, Steph. And Carly's been thinking about doing a diploma. She's already qualified as a PT, thinking about doing some diploma level study before coming into a degree. And so same thing, Carly, if you're looking to shop around at the different credits you might get from different diplomas, you can look into the abacus and see if the qualifications.
Yeah, there's qualifications on here from fitness providers where they've got diplomas of fitness and seeing what sort of credits they'll get. Usually Diploma of Fitness and Cert 4s do AAP 410, which is the anatomy and physiology subject, a lot of which is similar to our BioH 111.
Most fitness qualifications up to a Cert 4 will get our foundations of communication and counselling, and usually the first BioH, human biological science, yes.
Okay, we're back at 7 questions. We're going to have to speed up. Joe's just asking, where can you go to see the cost for both courses, please?
Okay, all of the costs and everything are on our website. So just pop straight to the Endeavour website, and I can't find it. It'll be here. I'll just have to search it quickly. Sorry. Yeah, it's probably down in the bottom bit, but I'm a bit of a searcher bee. So fees, tuition fees are here online. Oh, that'll open up as a PDF because that's how my computer rolls. There you go. So that's all of our subject fees available online for you, so you can jump online and have a look at those.
Kate's asking, do we offer tuition? And she's worried that she might need some extra help with some of the biology subjects, and does it cost extra for tuition?
No, so we do lecture tute. Generally, it doesn't cost you extra. It's all part of the subject fees. On-campus students in some campuses, our bioscience department will actually have their little free lunchtime tutorials for students as well to help support them. Online, you have a dedicated online academic who will be able to tutor you and support you. We have enabling courses, so some free courses that we enrol you into to give you an insight into it. It is absolutely natural to be concerned with biosciences, especially for people that are coming in to study with us. We find that most of our students are, between the ages of say 25 to 35, 40, and may not have ever done science at school or be coming back to study and having done science a really long time ago, like myself. So it is natural, but we design our our initial, because they're first semester subjects, so they're not going to be the most taxing. In fact, I used to do a bioscience webinar with Dr. David Barry, and we write it and prepare it as though you've never done science before. So they're actually written at the sort of point of, here is an audience that doesn't know anything about science. There's no assumed knowledge. So sorts of things you will learn about will be atoms and protons and neutrons. You'll learn about the periodic table, but you won't have to remember every element on it. You'll just have to understand how to sort of read it and how it works. And it's really structured, especially online, to go, here's 4 weeks worth of concepts, quiz. Do you understand it? Great. Now, here's the next 4 weeks worth of concepts, quiz. Did you understand it? Fantastic. And here is your final 4 weeks. Come into a final exam, do that knowledge. We're not going to ask you to reach back into the recesses of time. We're just going to ask you to really focus on your basic understanding here. Sorry, Greg, right. I rabbited on. We're doing this again at 7 tonight, 7 p.m. We've got another 60 people registered for 7 tonight.
If we miss anyone's questions, we will follow up with you afterwards. We'll get as much as we done before time runs out. Kate's asking, what days of the week are compulsory for face-to-face classes?
Which days?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay. So timetable. So depending on what class it is, timetable and what campus. So for example, here in Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney, we have a lot of students. And so nutrition and naturopathy, given that they share a lot of common subjects, your class sizes, maximum class size here in Brisbane is 60, and that's usually a bioscience class. But we'll have more than one offering. So you pick your timetable. It might be a Tuesday from 3 to 6 because that's what suits you, and that's what time it is for the entire semester. You might have an option for a Tuesday 3 to 6, or a Wednesday 6:30 till 9:30, or a Monday 8 till 11. Whatever timetable you get into, that is your timetable for the semester. Yeah, so there'll be 2 or 3 options for you on all your classes. You'll pick those classes, and they'll be the ones that you stick in for your whole period of study.
Carly's asking, is it possible to complete a degree in 2 or 2.5 years if you do summer school?
No.
Yeah,
no.
there's prerequisites and things.
Just on the way that the subject, prereqs. So subjects you need to complete to move on to the next, and you have to do, say, a final 2 clinics in a summer school. No. You'd only be able to do one of those 2, and then you'd have to wait for the next semester to do that. And the volume of learning, so you can only do a full-time study load, not above that.
Okay, thank you. We've got a flurry of last-minute questions. I think, guys, we'll have to come back to you with some of them. I'll pick one last one. We've got Sharon and Michelle have got similar kind of question. Sharon's wondering, does nutrition translate to animals? Can you work in the field of food production for animals? And Michelle is asking a related question, is does the degree incorporate the way that nutrients are coming to certain foods, how they're grown, etc., or any lab studies about that type of learning?
Okay, yes, you do look at how foods are grown and how they're processed, and as far as laboratory work in regard to that, we don't have a huge amount of that at all, no. That is a more specific area for community health and probably dietitian work. But your understanding of the growth, the processing, the nutrients destroyed or gained by those things is totally covered within the nutrition and naturopathy, of course.
We do animal nutrition, do we?
We don't do animal nutrition.
On how animals,
we don't. No.
Yeah, it's kind of like you get asked that question.
It's quite different. Some of the stuff that we use, I have one of my best friends is an animal naturopath, and some of the stuff that we'd commonly use as supplements is really quite toxic for animals, and so the rules are very different. Yeah. Yes,
chocolate is a good one for an example.
Yeah.
For us, wonderful. For animals, terrible.
And my dog eats a lot of grass. In fact, I think it was in one of the subjects was they originally said that, you know, animals led us to herbs because they would naturally eat grass to make their stomachs feel better, and people were like, hey, maybe there's something in this.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we're about to get kicked out of the program. Apologies, we've had a bazillion questions today, so hopefully we've answered lots of them. Is there any last parting words you want to leave us with, Kate? And for folks who haven't got your question, we'll follow up on them afterwards. We've got them written down, so we'll get in touch with you.
We've got them written down. We'll follow them up. Kathleen and I, and hopefully Greg, we're doing this again at 7. come and see us again at 7. Now, if you would like to, we might do a bit more of a broad Q&A session at 7 because it seems to be quite a popular thing. So thank you so much, everybody that's come along. As Greg said, we'll get in touch if there are some questions that remain unanswered. Otherwise, please feel free to give us a call, drop into campus, send us an email here. You can email info@endeavour.edu.au. I'll pick it up out of there. We would love to help you. Thank you.
Bye.